The movie begins when a few men in the black outfit are climbing a very high cliff in a cave. They are secretly climbing to hide from the eyes of the guards of that cave. A few men are climbing from underneath the rope bridge. They are all trying to cross one cliff and reach another. Meanwhile, a few guards in orange pass by and suspect an intrusion. They quickly throw a fire torch to find out if anyone is on the cliff. They see that a few men are trying to intrude. They instantly throw knives at their side and slit their throat. Few men survive, and others climb up from the rope bridge. They cut the throats of men in orange who are guards on the cliff. Afterward, they throw knives toward the orange guards on the front balcony. Men in black clear the area from guards and secretly enter the center area of the cave. They get inside and see a great congregation of men in orange. They are speaking loudly in a unified voice. In the crowd, a man is tied with ropes to a wooden pole. The crowd is fierce and demanding quick assassination of the man tied to the pole. Then invaders in black clothes come inside. The crowd leader breaks a water vessel, so the crowd gets silent. It's a sign that he is ordered to assassin the man now. Few invaders take positions with arches in their hands. At the same time, one of them takes out two knives and throws them toward the pole, where the executioner lifts the sword to kill the man tied to it. One knife breaks the sword while the other kills a guard. The man who attacked with the knives kills the second guard. Then the war between the crowd and black invaders begins. The leader of the black invaders is General Su. The man tied to the pole is their prince. He is here with his army to save his prince. He cuts the crowd with great swordsmanship and kills many men. Meanwhile, they are being attacked from all sides. General Su follows the orange crowd leader, and they combat each other. They fight fiercely with swords. Meanwhile, the leader of the cave falls down the plateau inside the big cave. He rises again, and they continue to fight. At the same time, army of General Su fights the crowd in the cave. They break many bridges. Many people fall into the depth of the cave. Meanwhile, the army rescues the prince and takes him to the army tents outside the cave on a big ground. After the fight, Prince asks about General Su, but his army men tell him that he is not seen anywhere. He orders them angrily to find him immediately. Then someone tells them from outside the prince's camp that General Su is alive and here. Prince looks happy to see him and thanks him for his marvelous win. He gives him credit for the win. He is happy that he saved his life from certain death. As a reward, he tells him that he wants to appoint General Su, the governor of Hubei. General Su's stepbrother hears their conversation outside the prince's camp. General Su tells the prince he is one of many to give credit. His brother played an equal role in saving his life. Prince thinks that he is unjustly favoring his stepbrother Yuan. He advises him not to favor him and asks him to tell his brother to be careful next time. Otherwise, he will be sent back to the state. It's nighttime. They are all partying and congratulating General Su on his incredible win. General Su gives his sword to a worthy army man. Then he sits with his brother, who is sad after hearing a conversation between his brother and Prince. He knows the prince does not value his services and always prefers Su. But Su assures him that he has decided to leave the battlefield. He wants to spend a peaceful married life with his wife, his real sister of Yuan. Yuan looks happy for them and wishes them good luck in the coming life. Su assures him that Prince will rely on him once he is gone, so he should focus on his services for the army. Then the next day, Su leaves the army camp on his horse. Many years passed, and Su opened his Wushu teaching school in his hometown. He has a son and a wife who is the blood sister of Yuan. She is Ying. They have a little kid. He is happy in his marriage. Su's father tells him that Yuan is returning home after all these years as governor. He is concerned that he can take revenge on Su's father as he is the one who killed Yuan's father. But Su loves his stepbrother Yuan and assures his father that his doubts are wrong about Yuan. Finally, the day comes when Yuan arrives in hometown with his guards in a carriage. He looked angry. His stepfather reads wrath on his face. He knows that Yuan is here to avenge his father's murder. He comes into his home and meets his blood sister, Ying. Then he takes his stepfather to the other side, where they are alone. Their stepfather requests him to leave Su and his family as they are happy. He clarifies that he killed Yuan and Ying's birth father because he killed many innocent people. But Yuan is so angry, he kills the stepfather. He puts his head in a cloth sack and comes outside. His sister Ying pleads with him to spare Su as he is innocent, but she does not listen and leaves the house. Meanwhile, an older man tells Su that Yuan has killed his father. He rushes towards his home. Upon reaching there, he finds his father's body without a head, and all the men in the courtyard are dead. Meanwhile, a girl attacks him with numerous spears. He hides with great skill from spears and throws one back toward that girl. The girl comes out in the open. They fight with a sword. Meanwhile, another man accompanies the girl to kill Yuan, but they were powerless before Su's excellent Wushu skills. They run away, and Su follows them. On the other hand, Yuan tells his sister that he has taken revenge for his father's murder from his stepfather. His sister tells him he is not doing right as the family has loved Yuan as their son for many years. But Yuan pays tribute to his dead father with the head of his stepfather. Meanwhile, Su reaches there. He starts killing his guards to reach Yuan. He reminds him how he always loved him as his brother. Then Yuan stops his army from attacking Su and asks him to come to him for a duel. They start fighting with a sword. Su has great swordsman skills. In the fight, Su's sword drops on the floor. They fight on the deck beneath a great waterfall. Then Su fights with his fist and throws Yuan away. Yuan tears his clothes and shows him that his body is fully patched with iron armor, so his sword can penetrate his body. Then Yuan and Su engage in a first fight. Yuan sees that he is losing, bringing his 5 venom fists and grabbing Su's body. It's the same power that Yuan's father used to kill innocent people. 5 venom fists transmit their venom into Su's body, and he coughs blood. Meanwhile, Su's wife asks him to run, but he keeps fighting. Then again, Yuan grabs Su's arm and transmits venom from his 5 venom fist. Then his little son comes up and pleads with Yuan to spare his father's life. Yuan says he spared his life and throws Su's in the fast-flowing water. Ying could not bear the sight of the death of her husband and jumped into the water. Yuan cries to save his sister, but she is gone. The scene shifts when in the water stream, Ying saves Yu, and she safely brings him out of the water. She makes a statue and puts Su on it while he is still unconscious. She pulls the statue through the jungle. When she reaches the Beidou Mountains, she tries hard to pull the statue, but suddenly, its rope slips from her bleeding hands. When Dr. Yu held it, Su's statue was about to fall from the mountain. She collects herbs from the mountain to cure her patients. She takes them home and cures his wounds with his herbs. She earns her money by making wine, and now Ying helps her. Su finally opens his eyes, but he gets very upset by watching that his left arm is broken and he is disabled for a long period. He cries a lot when he tries to hold a rice bowl but cannot hold it. Then many days pass when Su doesn't try to rescue his son. He remains drunk most of the time. Then one day he looks at Ying, who tells him to fight his brother because they have a son waiting for them to return. He musters up his courage and starts practicing. He makes his fists strong and practices every skill that he had forgotten these days. He sees his wife brewing wine with so much hard work and thinks they will go back to rescue their son. Then one day, he hears a familiar voice in the mountains. He watches 2 men. One was standing on top of the other. The man asks him to follow him, so Du follows those men. They have the ability to fly too. Then they reach a temple where the older man introduces Su to the younger man in white that Hu is the god of Wushu. They know that he wants to take revenge on his stepbrother, but they remind him that he has a weaker broken arm and has lost the confidence to fight. So to be confident, he will have to defeat the god of Wushu. He tried to fight hard, but the god of Wushu was very strong. He gets injured in the fight. He returns home, and Ying is happy to see that he is back in his warrior spirit. They are sure that they will defeat their brother. Then they go to sleep. The next day, and for many following days, Su goes to the ancient temple to fight with the god of Wushu. He gets better in fights every day. Meanwhile, Yuan makes his venom fists even stronger by dipping his fist in a bowl full of venomous insects. Then one day at the dinner table, Dr. Yu inspects Su's pulse and senses that his blood is unusually racing, and he is practicing way too much. She advises Ying to stop her husband from practicing. Moreover, Dr. Yu thinks that the temple that Su talks about is imaginary. But Ying replies that she believes her husband is speaking the truth about the temple's existence. In the following scene, Young Feng is chained in the Yuan's castle for fear that he will run away. He secretly goes downstairs and finds out that his uncle Yuan is practicing his 5 venom fist skill, and he kills a chained man by punching him and transferring his venom. Feng cries and pleads for him to open his chains, but Yuan warns him that he will cut his feet if he ever asks this again. 2 years pass by. Su keeps practicing, and now Ying misses her son badly. One day, she decides to go and see the temple where her husband goes to practice with the god of Wushu. She gets disappointed that he practices alone and gets wounded when he throws things at himself. On the following evening, when Su returns from practice, she tells him what she saw and thinks he has gone mad. But he does not leave the practice. The next day, he fights with the god of Wushu, and he defeats him. Thus, an older man who accompanied the god of Wushu assures him that he has gained his strength and is now ready to take revenge. She returns home immediately to share the news with Ying, but she doesn't find her in the house. She leaves the house to be with Feng once again. She writes a letter telling him that she thinks he can no longer fight because he has gone mad with his imaginary gods. Meanwhile, she enters her brother's home and finds her son Feng. She asks Yuan to free her son from the chain, but he refuses. She requests him to let them go and live as a family because Su can no longer fight. At the same time, guards standing outside the castle Big Doos shout that Su is back. Before closing the castle door, he enters and kills Yuan's guards. His fighting skills are improved greatly. He comes to the Yuan when his two special fighters, a girl and a boy, stop Su. He starts fighting them. Meanwhile, Yuan orders to bury Ying in a box. Then Yuan kills the soldiers who know where they buried Ying alive. After killing sibling fighters, Su comes to kill Yuan, who tries to kill him in every possible way. He has 5 great venom power in his fists, so he attacks Su's body from every direction. Little Feng sees them fighting each other. They break many walls and wine bottles. Then they suddenly fall into a hole. The holes have many venomous insects and snakes. Su tries to hold onto the wall. Yuan and Su fight as they grip the wall and somehow manage to come out of it. Now Su, who has been practicing peeling the iron armor sewn to Yuan's body, tries to peel the armor. He peels the armor piece by piece. By peeling it, his skin also comes along. Su never let him touch his body. Then he finally punches his face. Little Feng stops Su when he is about to kill Yuan finally. He knows that only Yuan can tell where he buried Ying. Ying is getting breathless in the box. Su and Feng rush to rescue her in the heavy rain. The soldier who buried her tells them where they can find the box because he is not dead yet. They come out at the location shouting Ying's name. The heavy rain has removed any footmarks. They were unable to find her. Then suddenly, Su's feet hit a box, and he knows this is where Ying is buried. They dig with both hands and keep calling her name, but she gets unconscious in the meantime. By the time they remove the dust and manage to open the box, Ying dies inside from suffocation. Then in the following scene, they show that a great Wushu fighter has turned into a Drunken Fist. He takes his son to a city at the China and Russia border, and they beg for food. He has no senses while in rags, and Su always drinks wine. They were sitting in a corner when a man kicked a few men from a gate, saying they had lost Wushu. He explains that his soldiers are better in every fight. At the same time, a Wushu master passes by and hears the conversation that soldiers killed a Wushu fighter blatantly. They say they would settle the matter on the duel in the Wushu club. The same night, Su goes to a wine shop, lifts a bottle of wine, and drinks it. A Wushu master sees his skill and asks him to take his bottle. They are both drunk. In the end, the other Wushu master hands the wine bottle to Su. When the fight ends, the lady at the reception of the wine shop comes with a man who is the master of the wine shop and shows him that Su is breaking things and stealing wine. The man is Master Ma, who was a companion of Su when he was a general in the army. He was the one he gave his most precious sword. He recognizes the Su immediately and asks him if he knows who Master Ma is. But Su is so drunk that he does not respond. Then Master Ma takes him inside and asks why they are living like this, and then his son replies that Su has been like this since his mother died. He reminds Su of his bravery and that he always liked to give more to the people, so he should fight for the people of China who intruders are killing. At the end of the conversation, he refuses to fight for anyone. He also asks for a favor from Ma to take his son with him, because he cannot give him food and a better life. Master Ma takes the son while his son cries and requests his father to let him live there. When he leaves with Master Ma, he asks permission to go back and look after his father. He returns and Su looks very happy when he finds his son is back. The next day, they go to the Wushu Federation, where Master Ma has to fight with the foreigners. They fight for 100 silver coins, but the freestyle fight has no rules. The club owners favor foreign wrestlers and keep killing innocent Chinese in the game. The game has no rules. Any man who stands till the end will win. There are many men gathered to watch today's match. Mater Mei gives Su his coat when guards refuse to let him enter because he looks like a beggar. Then inside, they see many heavy wrestlers fighting and winning against the Chinese. The game is on a deck where lions are waiting to eat human flesh under the deck. Mater Ma comes on the stage to fight with a wrestler who beats him brutally. When Feng sees Ma is about to die, he comes onto the deck and bites a wrestler's leg. The wrestler lifts Feng and is about to kill him when Drunk Su hears the voice of his son calling for help. He immediately jumps on the stage and fights one big wrestler after another. Every time he punches a wrestler's face, he bleeds, and the foreigner master sends another wrestler. Then finally, when he sees that Su is winning, he sends 3 men at the same time. 3 men attack him from all directions. They attack with fists, and Su starts bleeding from his mouth. But still, Su is attacking with unmatchable power. Then being a freestyle power, no one was bound by any rules. So the foreigners started using their knives. They attacked with knives in the direction where Su was standing. Su gets to a side, and the knife passes from the chest of one of the 3 fighters. When the master of foreign wrestlers sees that his wrestlers are all out of the floor, he injects it into the veins of the last wrestler. The injection reacts immediately, and the wrestler feels no pain from his injuries. He beats Su a lot. Su sits on his shoulder and punches his face several times. He falls to the ground. But at the same time, Su also gets injured badly and falls. The federation and crowd are silent because no one has won the competition today. Fen comes into the ring and cries a lot while watching his dad die on the floor. He reminds him of how his mother's last words were about them. She always wanted them to stay together. Su sees the face of her wife in the dream, who asks him to open his eyes. Then he opens his eyes, and the Wushu Federation declares him the winner of today's fight. Then he leaves drinking after that day and takes his son to see the cities of the world. They roam around the different corners of the world while he is now training again and very much sane to take care of his son. The movie ends here. Thanks for watching.